And he presses a button and Shazam!
I'm gonna call my mom and ask her the sound.
We are up and going. Yeah,
Mom, please text me.
Hey,
Let me know.
Can you guys hear us? The last 2 days have been kind of interesting. Otherwise,
We're taking applications for new tech nerds.
We are, actually. I am definitely considering the possibility of some tech nerds. Hey, that was a masterpiece right there. Hey, I'm RJ Murdoch. This is Chris Seaman, and today I'm kind of dubbing as Monday. Monday
the 8th of June.
But it's kind of Monday.
It's Monday muggy.
It's muggy Monday.
Tropical storm goes through. You know, they always say that the best day, I believe, is, so they is me, the best day for weather-wise is the day after a hurricane.
Especially one that's called Cristobal.
Well, aside from that. But when you get a hurricane, the next day all the humidity is sucked out of the air. But not when it's a weak-ass little storm that's not even a hurricane.
That's true.
And it goes through New Orleans, and we just have tropical storm after just tropical cell that just keeps coming and dumping humidity on us. So it wasn't a fun day to be painting.
I was just amazed on the amount of storms I saw just going through Central Florida, so far away from the eye.
We had a band yesterday
that just spread out.
We had a band that went right across the Panhandle yesterday. It started about noon and just kept coming.
Yeah, and then like last night, then from like 6 o'clock on.
Yeah,
just rain. But you know, if you're here on the Emerald Coast, you know that we're
used to it.
We're just telling you yesterday's or last night's news for the most part.
Yeah.
So. Well, speaking, let's go ahead and get started with the
shameless plugs.
The shameless plugs. Let's see if they're working. Yes. Hey, if you're watching us live on Emerald Coast TV's Facebook page, but we are also live on YouTube, Roku, and Amazon Fire, all at the same time. So we would appreciate it if you would take the opportunity to go ahead and do a like and follow, or follow and not like. It's up to you. But either way,
don't encourage too much.
Don't encourage that. But we also did set up a What's Up Emerald Coast Facebook page. When we have events or specials or special polls and stuff like that, we will be posting it on that page. And sometime real soon here, hopefully we'll be having some major events and some giveaways to be able to offer you guys here. We also would like to do a shout out for our Crab Island, which I took a look at the webcam today, and there's nothing out there. But
it's pretty.
Yeah, and the camera is going like this.
Yeah, it's just a little breezy.
It's a little breezy out there. So, all right. Let's go find out what the national days are. We pulled this information from nationaldaycalendar.com. So, there's always at least a food. I'm not sure about today. I think, let me see. What do I remember? Today is Best Friend Day.
Aww.
Isn't that cute?
All right, call your best friend. It's Monday.
Call your best friend. Yeah. It's time to hook up. Time to Facebook. Time to...
Trying to hook up?
Well, like...
With your best friend?
Hook up with, well, some best friends.
Connect. Go with the word connect.
Connect. Yeah.
Hook up does not
mean... If you're not married and you're not in a relationship right
now...
Just
backpedal out of this, RJ. Go to the next one. Backpedal out. Come on.
Name your poison.
Yeah, you were just about to name your poison right there. National Name Your Poison Day. Okay, so that's brought to you by a liquor company.
No, not necessarily.
That's liquor in the background.
Well, that is very true. It's usually typically what you hear a bartender say.
Yeah, name your poison.
Though they don't know where the origin of Name Your Poison Day or poison, the phrase came from. They do pretty much kind of consider it from having a limited choices of options that none of them are really good. So just name your poison.
As if you're about to be executed back in medieval times, and you got to pick
which you like.
Which poison
Death
you
by
prefer.
leeches, or
would you like
guillotine,
to melt from the inside or bleed out, whatever? Yeah, name your poison.
Name your poison.
That's where it came from.
That could be the.
All right.
And National Upsy Daisy Day.
Nah, that's lame.
Choose happiness.
No, come on.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
who's behind that?
Well, it's basically the idea of starting your day off in a positive aspect.
Upsy daisy? That's like get the heck out of bed.
Think of it being, let's see, what was the phrase it used? Be glorious, grateful, and gleeful.
Are you writing on mini
I wrote that down on Post-it notes. So,
okay.
Drop that on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that paper airplane. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's really it. That's pretty much the days of today. Not a single food item on this one.
Oh, that's a bummer. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime.
Though we we do have some of the articles in the paper. Not a lot to talk about for today. I mean, we know the obvious is the tropical storm.
That's over. Let's move on.
Let's move on. But then apparently
everybody north of here be prepared for a lot of rain, though.
They had a very peaceful.
That was impressive.
Over in Phoenix.
So during the storm, 500 people met out there at the football field. They didn't get to do the walk they wanted to do, to walk downtown, which would have been great, and I think they should reschedule it and maybe be able to do that. But that's awesome. They show that, how to do it right. You come together and have express your constitutional right to come together as a group and have a conversation about what's going on.
And even the organizer that was on the mic there was actually thanking the sheriff for his presence there. Well,
you would hope the sheriff wants to be there. The dialogue that's going to come out of this is about how to reform policing. Not reform police, but how we police as the verb. And there's a lot of dialogue about what is policing versus community service, counseling. I liken it to this, RJ. I very simple what I say to people when we're all this dialogue now coming out about, they want to redo the whole police concept now. But why does an armed officer have to respond to every traffic accident? That's really, emergency responders. That's really about paperwork, filing for insurances.
I think it really comes down to paperwork, right?
I get it. So my point is, I would prefer to see the highly trained people using weaponry that are there to police criminality are available. Because have you ever had an accident, been on the side of the road, and a cop, you got lucky because you the cop got a call and had to go. And you're going because they have to go respond to something else. Well, that's great for you in the moment that you got out of a ticket. Congratulations. But you still broke the law. Now that's breaking the law. But if that officer needs to leave because there is an armed robbery underway, my opinion is, and we need to maybe address this, is when you start having just maybe instead of it one broad police term, have a subset of police terminology. Ones that are designed for, a crime is in progress, just like you have investigators once there has been a homicide. Okay.
This feels like we need to bring on somebody who can speak on behalf.
Hey, I'd love to have Larry Ashley come join us and have the conversation. I think he's a fantastic. He's done. My experience with Sheriff Ashley is, he's very community aware. The things that I've enjoyed as I've seen him in the past, from the chamber functions, charity functions, events, he seemed to be always very proactive about being present. Our county is the second highest in the state of Florida for DUIs. And that's behind some very populated areas in South Florida. Does that mean that they are just really hard asses about DUIs? Maybe. Does it mean we have a whole lot of bars per capita? Maybe. Does that mean we have a whole lot of tourists that come in here and get a little crazy and do everything? Maybe. So all those factors. But I will give Sheriff Ashley a lot of credit that he is it's a difficult topic, and RJ,
I have a bouncing knee.
You do get tension going. Yeah, I'm complimenting Sheriff Ashley, so he does a very good job. So I think he could set an example for not only the surrounding communities, but for the state. And I'd love to have him come on, our representative, to talk about being proactive about it. The point a lot of this is coming. I'm sorry, I just jump right in this and make it a big topic, but it's the hot topic of the day. Is
because we had no topic.
Well, there's a big budget that goes towards policing in a community. And the sheriff's department, I've been involved in seeing some of this. They want more and more money, and I get it. Because they should be paid more, in my opinion. If you're well trained, and there's another issue is. Backing up a little bit and going, we can't just hire any person to be an officer and then put them out there dealing with civil actions. And if so, do they need to be armed? That's where this comes from. So maybe this money issue.
It's a difficult situation. And also now even more so.
Of course it's difficult. This is the United States of America.
I know, but there are people that are also want to try to capture. They'll instigate and provoke. It's kind of like, I would say call that poking a bear. But I'm not saying.
What do you mean instigate and provoke?
They would actually try to.
Are you referencing a riot?
No, I'm just talking about trying to get a response from an officer when he's trying to be restrainful. I mean,
Okay, but I maybe, perhaps, but what I'm referencing is from a 10,000 foot level, looking at the idea of policing your community. Okay, if there's a 911 call, hey, someone's in my house, what we see is the norm. Police officer shows up, blue lights are ablazing, they come out, guns unholstered, ready to do their thing. I have the utmost respect for that, and I welcome it, and I commend them. It's not an easy thing to do. Somebody's, you don't know what's at the door if you're dealing with domestic violence. I get it. One of our, Mr. Officer Frangione was one of those people responding to someone years back, and I forget the other gentleman that happened a few years ago,
Myers, I believe?
up in Crestview, I believe it was, responded to a domestic issue, a drug-related issue, and it turned into basically an assault. I'm not denying that. What I'm talking about is the minute it's a fender bender, the minute, the ones that are out there with the radar gun looking for speeders, if past the idea that they're a speeder and they get a ticket, if there's suspective criminal activity, hey, I need assistance, and an officer of that nature shows up. I'm not saying I am the answer. What I'm saying is this is an opportunity for the police force, nationally, the union, locally, our sheriff, to take the concerns of people, because clearly there's an issue that minorities are finally empowered to say it, and people are banding together to say it on their behalf.
The answer is as many cameras available as possible
that
for
helps.
each situation.
That helps.
Because
Cameras
that way,
from me on.
and with unbelievable, with 360 cameras, you see more so.
Okay,
and I don't
well,
understand
that
why
takes money. So what you're doing is talking about money.
Not as much. I mean, but it's
True.
Overall, in the general scheme of things, you see more of a perspective of everything that was happening around.
I understand.
And what provoked things.
But
and such.
one of the issues that you're hearing out of the national conversation is, counseling. That an officer shows up on a scene, they're there at the scene, and it really needs counseling. Well, no disrespect to the officer, is that part of their training? Is that what the policing requires, or do they need to be more vigilant about calling in someone that's here to help? Almost like if there was a hostage situation, you bring in a hostage negotiator.
I am sure that's the case, but sometimes I just know this. I would not want to be in their shoes. Because you never know the situation you're going to walk into.
I don't disagree, but you're not raising your hand to be an officer.
That's just true.
Okay, so if you don't want to be in the shoes, you don't take the job.
You're saying that, yes, if they should recognize what the situation is, and they're not trained to handle it, they should bring in somebody else who can.
Okay.
If they're available.
And I'm going to point out, part of this is coming from the fact that if you have 1,000 police officers and that's what you deem are necessary, and we're saying that a couple of bad apples are causing this spotlight on and creating a racial tension because of the bad apples' behavior, then perhaps we can reduce the number of apples in the bushel. The ones that deal with criminal and the civilian action that requires the ones that use force. And therefore minimize some of the apples that have to be trained and train those better apples to be better at doing their job.
And I think that has definitely
That's where I'm kind of going with this from 10,000 feet.
The conversation I've heard from all these other officers and policing organizations that, yes, this is true.
Okay.
For the most part, there every once in a while there's one individual, or there's one, or a.
Okay.
And it's not their policy. It's not police policy. It's just bad decision on location.
And I'm saying, train better. Part of this, I could even make an argument, is in needing police officers, it's not a very popular thing to raise your hand and want to be, given the environment too. So this spiral that we've created is, we expect better, but I can only imagine the difficulty Sheriff Ashley has, for just to pick our own sheriff, and I doubt he minds me saying his name, because that's why I started out by saying I think he does a very commendable job. But I'm sure when it comes to hiring, it's not an easy job. I don't enjoy hiring people to make pizza, because then you just don't know what people are about. And I got to train them to make a pizza that you're going to not walk away going, that was the worst pizza ever. But there's his life and death situation. So when he goes to hire somebody to be a police officer, and then they go out into the field and do their job, it becomes life and death when they are there's a difference between being a bad pizza maker and a bad cop. And what I'm saying is that if we can reduce his need by changing the mission statement of policing is where this is going for me. So that where counseling is needed, more counseling is available. But you don't have to train every deputy that's out there responding to crimes, that is responding to, from an assault in progress, a problem at a restaurant, for example. That's where the authority needs to show. But there's other needs that are arising as we police, as a verb, our communities. And we're putting a lot of burden on the police department to handle so many different aspects that I think it's hard to train all 1,000 to do all the aspects, as opposed to train 800 to do this, another 50 to do this, another 50 to do this, and keep breaking up.
And I am certain that is a consideration and that they're dealing with.
Well, it wasn't.
There is a limited budget.
It probably wasn't a month ago, but now it is. I doubt it was a month ago.
So, and definitely current events always push where weaknesses are.
Absolutely.
And then best practices are.
It's amazing. We had a virus that exposed a lot of the underbelly problems of our society, and this might be another one because it's how we manage the authority of the police department over its citizenry. I have the utmost respect for what they do. It's not an easy job, and I'm the first one to dial 911 if something going on. Okay.
And in most communities, the police and the community and the police officers themselves are involved in the community.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think some of the issues where you have larger volumes of population. I'm not saying it's the only. It only takes
There's
place
a difference
in cities.
between Fort Walton Beach.
Because there's also a difference
between Fort Walton and Atlanta. There's a big
county,
difference, and I get it. Fort Walton and Tampa, Fort Walton and Miami. There's a difference in the demand
and the process of trying to vet.
But those
which
budgets are
officers
bigger.
Would have those type of issues. I mean, that's
called hiring.
No, I agree that. And then people lie too.
Here's a couple other things that we could probably add to it that would help in retrospect. And I want to ask Sheriff Ashley this.
And I think cameras are great.
Cameras
that will actually capture what actually happens.
Sure, but they do actually what happens. But we also do what a lot of police forces don't do is report their behavior. So as an officer does something and it's deemed great or deemed inappropriate, it should be reported in a database. There's no reason that one of the other issues is coming out of this idea of reforming policing is if an officer in Fort Walton Beach does something inappropriate, enough to be disciplined, enough to be fired, he shouldn't be able to just go over to New Orleans and put his app in and go, hey, I'm already trained to be an officer, and they're not aware of his behavior over here. Well, and that database does not exist, and a lot of people are calling for that database because, here's the theory, if you have a bad apple, if you have a bad apple in the bushel here, and you get rid of it, and Sheriff Ashley does a great job of getting rid of the bad apple, that apple can't go sprout a tree over another force. So there's no reason, just like body cameras are of the present, the database helps with the future. And we have to address some of that. We can learn from our past, and I love the body camera theory, okay? But that's just a lot of data. Somebody has to then watch it. Somebody's paying to be. You're just looking for a job. You're watching a lot of data, a lot of videos, and I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, it only would exist for a certain time period anyway, just like any security and.
But somebody still has to watch it when something happens. I get it. Right. But we can also preliminarily eliminate some of this by screening, by knowing who came from where.
Going back to the vetting.
Okay, and that's the vetting. So it's not that it can't be done. It comes down to money. I guarantee you the conversation that we would have with any sheriff, and again, I go back to I'm very proud of the local sheriff we have. Okay? Because I've had conversations with him and some of his top people that have run against him. It's about money. Okay? Well, one of the things I don't want to see sheriff's departments buying is more riot gear. The riot gear should occur in a common area for a larger space. Like the state troopers might control that or something like that. This is my theory. But that way...
Or it's a National Guard thing.
Or it's a National Guard thing. Exactly. A more centralized thing. So that the police force locally can be more involved locally. Like I believe our sheriff's department truly is. I think they already are an example of what can be done and can be better.
As a society, I mean, it's so much different. Somebody made the comparison between when we were talking with Tom, like 69, the protests were going on there, yet the moon landing was going on at the same time.
Correct.
And the difference between the two. So much of change and communication and capability that today,
right here.
that with today's technology,
right here. Yeah.
and we recognize the thing, we put, it used to be throw money at it. Now it's throwing good intel,
Right.
and then figuring out how to do the money wisely, so that we can actually create
Absolutely.
a system. Plus, there's more social awareness, and that's something that can't happen nowadays as much. That won't be posted somewhere.
But all of that social awareness, all of the details that can come from these things too, need to. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to promote Big Brother looking on, but Big Brother should be watching the authorities that are watching us. There's no reason not to police the public entity that is the police.
Who watches the Watchmen?
That's
Right.
who you need to watch. We're a free country. You know, you don't just assume. I'm not going to walk around and assume you're doing something illegal. But if you're doing something illegal, I can report you to the authority. But somebody needs to be watching the authorities and how they perform. How is their bedside manner when they pull people over for a ticket? How do they respond to a domestic abuse situation? How do they respond to a bank robbery? I mean, all those things. If they shoot their gun, they have to put a report out. That isn't collected. This is a national fact. Out of the thousands of police forces in the United States,
Right, so
only 100 or so report those facts.
I
That
will-
needs to be everybody. And I'm going to ask Sheriff Ashley,
I will make a
Ashley,
prediction on
do
that.
you report those statistics to the state or to the federal government? It's a law, but most police forces ignore it.
It comes down to what they're actually specifically required based on time frame, based on levels.
Sure.
And I'm sure we can actually probably bring.
That's not hard
I
to
would
do.
love to bring in somebody to the sheriff's department.
That's not
to go
hard
ahead
to
and
do.
Talk about that.
It's
No,
not hard
no,
to
I'm
do
not
to
saying it's
report
not
that.
hard to do.
Okay.
But really, when it comes down to is data crunching. So basically, we're also talking about the development of an AI oversight.
Yeah.
And
well,
you know,
I'm a big fan of Minority Report. Tom Cruise.
it's going to go beyond that.
Okay,
Believe it or
fair
not.
enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough. RoboCop, I get it. RoboCop.
In a
All the
matrix
nerds gonna
type
come out
of
watch.
in a matrix type of way.
There we go. Here it comes.
We're
Here it
gonna assume that we have governments running things, but it's all being controlled by an AI, figuring out the right statistics based on what the
At the end of the
priority
day,
is.
at the end of the day, government officials can. That's what they need to monitor is actually the behavior of the government officials. In this case, when it comes to policing, you know, I'm all for more police officers on bikes, being around the community, going up and down the beach. I love seeing that. I love seeing their involvement. It makes me feel safer. It makes me see that they're aware of things that are wrong in the community. Besides, it doesn't have to be a crime.
They are a true presence, and
Yes.
they're a part.
The word
of
police
daily
is also a
interaction with the
verb.
public.
The word police is not just a noun; it is a verb. And if we work on the verb aspect of policing, that's what we need to focus on. It's not the police are the problem; it's the policing is a problem, in my opinion. And when I say problem, it's a problem that it's a giant spectrum, and a small percentage of it needs to be revectored. And in doing so, I go back to, I'm going to tell you right now, out of the gates, that I believe where our sheriff's department is right now, and I'm not trying to blow smoke. I believe where they are right now is a launching point to do better. And you know, it's that simple. We've had some bizarre. We've had our share of weird criminal activity,
But we're also, in some ways, kind of bubbled. We're kind of sheltered.
and we
in
are
this area
bubbled.
here.
Yeah, that is absolutely
Which,
right. So out of
that and the largest amount of bars in one location, we're promoting the area.
I give my exactly. So if I segue you out of that, you know, the response that I say that the local government's talking about the census. Make sure you fill out your census,
true.
people, because here's why.
It only took 5 minutes. I went online.
What a good segue I think I just did. I'm learning. RJ's taught me a lot because the idea of the census affects budgets, and when budgets, you know, are determined by population, you want to be counted, and it's not about whether they're illegal or not. You want to count everybody, and I'm sorry, but if you're an anti-immigrant or anti-illegal, it's not what this show is about today. But you want to count everybody here because it's irrelevant if they're a citizen or not to whether or not they can commit a crime. So if there's a bunch of illegals here, you want to know that you have enough policing capable of dealing with the problems. Is that fair?
Fair enough. Because you were starting to open up the whole, well, how come they don't have that question? That question was taken off as far as whether they were in the country illegally or illegally.
But because that's irrelevant. What you wanted down, you're counting heartbeats.
But then you were just saying that, but it's important to know.
It's what you're really counting is feet on, or you know, I don't want to use the wrong analogy, but you're counting souls. The idea is to count souls because all those souls have needs that require government budgeting to manage those souls, whether it's medical assistancing, policing, education, the way roads are designed. Everything that we do comes out of that census. And so when people want to politicize the census, I look at them and go, you're crazy. It's a math thing.
These are crazy times. Everything is politicized.
Well, there you go.
Really
You covered that.
There's only one thing in the world that's not politicized.
There you go. I was going to
And
bust
it's
your
called
chops.
pizza, man.
I was gonna bust your
It's
chops.
pizza.
I'll give you points that you ignored it even when I brought it up. I'm like, I think it was in yesterday's paper. No, it was actually in today's paper.
I don't
so-
know. I had it all set up because actually I knew about it
Okay, fair enough.
the other day.
I
because-
thank Aaron for calling me and wanting to write a little article. And if you note, I mean, do it publicly on here. My partner is not Brian Stanhope. I will make
It's Ryan.
it is Ryan, but
I was
now-
going to ask you: is Brian Ryan or is Ryan Brian?
Well, now Ryan is my partner. Brian is the guy that does the weather report for the show.
yeah, okay. His idiot alias there.
Did you just call him an idiot? Okay,
No,
fair. I heard you call him an idiot.
AKA Brian.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah.
did you hear that? He
But
called you an
this is
idiot.
what caught my eye yesterday
Oh
when
my
I was
God.
watching you go ahead and basically it looks like you've gutted out that building.
Yes.
And then you got your brother
My
to help
brother
you paint.
was in the rafters painting black.
So this is the old Mama Rosa building.
That is correct.
Over on Lewis Turner. I'm just jumping through the video.
That's fine. That's
you're-
fine.
Yeah,
I'm talking about social media and websites while Mike's painting it black and
So I mean, you've been kind of like always hinting in public,
Yes.
but with today's article,
Makes it official.
It's out there. It's
Yeah.
official. You are definitely opening up a Hellenbach Pizza over there. At
well,
Lewis
I got to
Turner.
do something so we can have a sponsor for the show, RJ, because I need to get paid to do this work.
Yeah.
If I'm going to talk about our sheriff's
Well, you
department,
and I were going to talk a little bit right after this because I've come up with some numbers to work with.
All right.
And look
Thank you for
forward to
putting
an
that up
opportunity
there.
for you guys to be able to be a sponsor of this show. So stay tuned. So with that in mind, we've gone a bit over time with no topic
with
designed
no guest,
for today.
and we went overtime. Thanks.
We really dived into. Dove into.
Yeah.
These are old. I don't.
Okay.
I didn't set up the social media for comments today, so
Yeah. Good.
We'll get that.
Because
taken care
I
of
was
next
talking
time.
about the sheriff's
However,
department.
our audio is good. Tech nerd over here. All right. So with that being said, the rain's going to go away. We're going to
Yeah.
get some sunshine. Hopefully, it's a beautiful day.
It's
tomorrow.
going to be a fantastic.
It's going to be a great week. But
week.
we needed the rain.
did.
It was a bit of a drought. It was nice turning the sprinklers off for a while. And
So a lot of
soaking
good
up-
things are happening out there,
filling up the
RJ.
pool.
So as we go forward, stay rational, my friends,
Yeah.
and enjoy it. Happy Monday.
Have a great day.
Thank you.